Burge.
Okay.
Do
the code.
Do the cut. We are starving here, guys. We are starving of haircuts. We are starving of property. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about the property starvation.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes, episode 517, with myself, Michael Berger, Mark Novak. I made an error in judgment with my hair. I thought, didn't realize it was so long. I needed to try to, anyway.
The struggle is real. The struggle is real.
No barbershops open. Listings are low.
Nah.
It just, what are we in our 8th week now? 7th week now. It's pretty tough.
Yeah,
but
and we monitor the numbers across the state and across our region really, really hard. And it's the one thing that is common with everything is that property values are property stock on market for sale residential is so low that it's actually putting an awkward and ugly pressure on affordability. Government doesn't like that.
If it wasn't already hard enough. And the concern, red flag here, this isn't after a downturn. This is after, this is after a 50% growth. Where, you don't normally, you see this pressure if the market's been slow, pricing hasn't moved, if not it's down, like 2018-19, where you had a downward market, things were hard to sell, lending gets easier, listings low, and then you see this surge. We're going to see it even harder. I would not be surprised if we see total over 12-month growth up to 60-70%. And we're talking about on $1.8 million property. So this is huge. That's 600,000 because right now we're at the lower stock levels, 372, 700 went to auction, 80% sold, and it's not slowing down. And the residential market, what we're seeing with lockdowns, you don't want to say it's lockdown proof. It's just so buoyant. Yep. All right. Lockdown happens. Listings low, prices up. Go out of lockdown, prices up. It's just there's only one outcome: prices up.
Well, it's not like people, I don't know, you'd think, okay, I can support that if everyone's making more money, but the country's getting into more debt and the property value, it's counterintuitive. The country's getting into more debt and the property values are going up. It's not real money. It's sort of
it's not real. And it's play money. It's monopoly money.
It's making it less affordable for people. So it is a concern.
Big. And we're property people. You would think we would love this, but we've said it on many shows before. We like sustainability. 40%. Our ears were our not red flag. Our wires were a bit hey, this is almost a bit too crazy when they were at 30% growth, and we're all right. Just came after and this was back in January. We're like, all right, surely it'll level out. We had shows that were like, yeah, this is it leveling, and then before you know it, we're at 45% growth. 50, some suburbs now 55, and what we're seeing now, we'll be at 70%. And you're right, it's this wages aren't make a ponytail. It's not as long as it used to be. Wages I'm in opposite angles of the camera, so wages have not gone up. It's no chance. 60% growth. We'll see it. Most of our suburbs, Northern Beaches, are already at 55 for the 12 months. So, yeah. Do you have any?
Yeah, we're already there. We're
basically already there.
If you bring up a lot of suburbs on the Northern Beaches and you look at what they've done the last 12 months, it's pretty goddamn scary. Certainly. Luke, we can give you an example in DY where we sold the property for 950 two and a half years ago, and nothing was done to the property, and it just traded for 157. That's 63% growth.
Yeah, and we know Monaval's done that. So it's pretty crazy in our little pocket. We're seeing it with low listings. So what does that mean? Well, it just means...
So what that means for me is as soon as I see that normally happen in the marketplace over the years, I normally see people going bubble, 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 bubble. Don't buy because it's going on into a bubble.
Yep. I don't think it will happen. Our government, we've said on a few shows before, property is well done, great growth. Property is a pretty big foundation. So whatever other economic factors have to get up to meet the new property level, I think if we hit 60% growth, there'll probably be a 20% decrease. Maybe could be in 2 years or 1 year or 3. Then I think we're at our new level. I definitely think when we're at a pretty strong level, because we only hit our 100% growth in 10 years at 30% growth. We were pretty far behind. We had lagged the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So it wasn't crazy over a 10-year period. But now we're 30% above it.
Good argument. There's also the argument to support what you just said, that we're undercooked, that the cake was undercooked for a long period, and now we've probably overcooked the cake a little bit. So,
well, it depends if 2% interest rates are sustainable. This growth hasn't come from nowhere. Money's half price. A $2 million mortgage, you can buy a $4 million property. Like, it's not rocket science. Money's half. So people going, I've only got 30 grand of interest. I can now get a property worth double because my rates are half. That's where the growth's come from. It's not because of increase in wages.
So what we're seeing week on, week out, guys, is property values every week. Sorry, property stock on market, stuff that's available for sale, residential, every week is dropping.
Yep, and property
and normally just sits at the same 10 properties sell, 10 properties list, 10 properties sell, 10 properties list. That's normally like what happens.
Well,
but
go. So you go.
It's definitely eroding. The stock is eroding. It is alarming.
It is, because when you're normally at that level of stock, it's like that's the stock that's been on the market for 6 months. And Lewis Christopher does some good data. We don't really have any of that stock. We just did. Yes, I'd like to check the numbers next week, and we'll talk about it, because if 700 sold, there's 300 remaining. Yeah, it's not like we're sitting on the same amount. These are new properties coming to market, so that's where it's going to have that increase in price. Yep.
Why?
What's that? Why?
Would you still buy?
Yeah, if it's for family. For an investment, you'd probably look at it, make sure you can get a couple incomes.
You're not worried about buying at the top of the market?
Well, if you plan to if you're buying something for 10, 15 years, I think you've just got to, just buy. Otherwise, you're going to be renting. Renting prices are still pretty high. So it's cheaper to buy than rent. So even if it comes back 20%, it's not really much of a difference. It'll hurt mentally, but you buy a property for 2, it's worth 1.8 for 10 years, 5 years. You can still, you're doing your numbers that you can afford the mortgage. So, yeah, buying an investment right now would be a little bit, unless you can add a lot of value. That's what I'd be worried about.
You're not concerned about buying at the peak?
No, because you don't really know it's at the peak till it starts going down. Then if it continues, I don't think you should look at it at that scale. If you're ready to buy, your finances are there, and it fits into a 5 or a 10-year plan. Yeah.
So,
and people would have said the peak was at 20%. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're buying at a peak and selling at a peak, it's still double.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I don't think you should read too much into it on that scale.
What about stock? Okay, we've talked about stock so far. Residential, we've established it's dropping. We've established the values are going up because it's dropping. The buyer numbers are staying the same. Buyers are not dropping off, but properties for sale are.
Yep.
What's happening with residential rentals?
Pretty steady. around that 5 to 700 listings, fluctuating a little bit, but very steady. It's all within 10%. Like residential's had 30-40% swings.
So residential properties for rent, there were as many properties a year ago than there are today.
Yeah.
Residential sale, there's half the amount of properties today than there was a year ago.
Yeah.
Commercial for sale,
just under half down, from about 150 to about 88. And that 88, that's rubbish stock, 12 months old, longer, fake listings. There's probably about 10 good listings, fresh. Like, there's nothing there. Commercial.
That's in your catchment. That's in our catchment, the Northern Beaches.
Yeah. So
good reference.
Good reference.
What about Valley? And what's that? So you got half the stock than what you had 12 months ago. Have you found the pressure putting that being an upwards pressure on price?
No.
Have you found with residential, we've got the same amount of buyers than we had 12 months ago. There's a lot of buyers buying, a lot of buyers still coming on the market. Buyers. What about buyers for commercial? They're half the amount of buyers out there than there were 12 months ago.
Yeah, half, if not even more, gone. Everyone's waiting to see. Like, we're doing a lot of the calls and we're culling through a lot. So we're just waiting and seeing.
Yeah, well, you spent an enormous amount of time the last 2 weeks doing that. So, okay. So that's interesting. That's an interesting index, because what's Lisa saying? Buyers are choosing their own prices by moving to a location that fits their budget, buying in Port Macquarie instead of Cromer. Anmal, she says, hello.
Hey, Anmal.
We're going to get Anmal to the Northern Beaches. Okay, so that's real interesting.
And commercial leasing, just
yes. I like this one.
Yeah, commercial leasing, there's two mindsets. There were the first 8 months of COVID, it was take any deal, 50% off, 60, just get it rented. Then there was, this is from a landlord, and then there was the one that was like, fuck it, keep it empty for a year, 2 years, I'm not halving my price. So a lot of them are still sat, or they've come back around and taken deals. So listings are a lot lower, which tells me like it's gone from 700 to 500, and it's a steady decline. If you look at the residential, it's like 300 listings, 400, 5, 6, and then back down with lockdowns and etc. and Christmas. Commercials just like each week 700 down to 500. So, and I think we're seeing it as well. Less tenants are moving. Landlords are doing. They must be, and we know they are because they're doing deals with tenants. They're whatever. I think people are being very compassionate. And it does come from a lot of commercial landlords don't have a lot of debt on their property. So their mindset is...
I think the landlords also, from last time, realised it wasn't forever. I think last time they're like, oh my God, Armageddon, this is going to be such a deep, deep pit, such a deep, deep hole. I think landlords this time realised, okay, let's help these guys out because it's not going to be forever. And it wasn't last time.
Yeah, and for the commercial landlord, yes, you've got to find someone, or we might as well go. Yes, you've got to find someone, or we might go to Port Macquarie as well from Anmal. Port Macquarie. How far is that from here? That's a couple hours. Yeah.
Port Macquarie, 4 hours north, I think. So, okay, 3 hours? Yeah. So, in a nutshell, guys and girls, this is what we're seeing in the marketplace. Residential property sales, stock levels, Burge?
Very low, 50% off, like down, upward pressure on pricing, no change in size.
Okay. That was my next question. Right. Residential rentals?
Steady. Listings vary within 10%. So there's probably 10% of, 550 on the market, 500. No stress there. Whenever you got to move, you move, or you don't.
No pressure on pricing up or down, been the same as it was a year ago.
Yep.
Commercial for sale.
Commercial for sale, if it's with a tenant, lockdown proof, which we've discussed, medical doctors will fly out the door at that 6% yield, 6.2. Vacant properties, tough. Industrial, flying out the door. Like we did that Orchard one. That I priced it at like 6 million. It sold for 8.5. So the right industrial, like it can still fly. But there's
So from a
the
year
listings
ago, stock is lower.
Yeah.
And prices are on average down, level up.
There haven't been sales. I'd say same. There haven't been the sales. We would normally, there's no sales. There's not like for likes.
Commercial for lease stock levels are
Low, but still a lot out there. 500 properties. Find the right landlord. Great variety. Been pretty steady. So if you're looking to move, it sucks because there's nothing new coming on. I've got people saying I've been looking for a year. A freestanding industrial hasn't come up that ticks our boxes because you normally have 10 new properties a month. It's so tough if you're moving or tough all around.
Commercial for lease,
steady.
not a lot of selection. That's starving a little bit. And certainly when you look at DY, how many for lease, it's a lot less than what it was a year ago. But the value, the rental prices,
steady now. From 12 months ago, there was some big. I think we're at that new level. There's not the 30% discount as much anymore because a lot of owners, if they've come on the market in the last 6 months, most have just done deals with their existing tenant, knowing it would be pretty bad if they went to the open market. So, it hasn't been too bad. Steady.
And that's our episode of Property Starvation.
Yeah, perfect.
See you,
Thanks,
Birch.
Mark. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
See you, everyone. Hope it helped. Bye.